People turn on their news and they get very depressed right away. Because what is going on now? 12-day war, Iran was bombarding us. They were trying to get a nuclear weapon. They were trying to nuclear destroy Israel. They still want to. They still said they'd love to do that. That's what their head of defense just said. We got through that 12 days. We're still here. Damage happened. Beersheba, Haifa. I walked through the rubble in Tel Aviv and Ramat Gan. I walked through the rubble in Bat Yam. I saw this stuff in Beersheba. I walked through the rubble in Beersheba. It's pretty bad, but it isn't as bad as some people are making it. And no, Iran did not win. That's a lie. I did say to my friends, I had some friends that are Arabs, and I said, I really feel bad any country can deal with their own media. I know Trump called fake news, the word, he coined the term fake news about America's own media. So there's definitely this issue that media can paint an incorrect picture. But I feel so bad for dictatorships where there's no chance for the truth. It's just no chance. I feel so bad because they're saying in Iran, we beat Israel. We beat Israel. We taught a lesson to America. Well, that's not accurate. And now they're ready to continue. My point is, it says in Matthew 24, do not be deceived. Talks about wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes. Do not be deceived. That's a big thing there. If it were possible, even the very elect would be deceived, but it's not going to be possible. It's not going to be possible, but I know the enemy would love for people to be deceived. Jihadists are deceived. They're in a bad, just like we're talking about the house of prayer growing. We're so happy of the volunteers that are coming to the Faithful Galileans and the Vertical Galilee House of Prayer and prayer houses really around the world. Joining with all of us here in the Galilee, coming here to Kilat Perea. We're all excited about that, and we see God's kingdom advancing, the light shining in the darkness. But there is a parallel world. There's a parallel universe, and I think the hardest thing for anyone from the West to understand is it's not because we did anything to the Gazans that they massacred us, or we did anything to Iran that they tried to make a nuclear weapon and obliterate us from the universe, or that we did anything to the Yemenite people, Houthis in Yemen, that they decided to blow up all the ships, or that we did anything to Lebanon, which is why the Hezbollah is decided to invade the Galilee, conquer the Galilee plan to invade our homes, just like they did, just like the Gazans, just like the Hamas did, or that we did anything in Syria. That is not why things happen, and that's very hard for people to understand. Because an American mindset or a Western mindset is, I do my life, you do your life, and as long as you're not attacking me, we should be fine. You just earn your money and have your home, and I earn my money and have my home. We should all be fine. They don't understand jihadist mindset, which is not that. 72 virgins, if you kill an infidel, doesn't mean the infidel did something to you first. That's not what it's about. This is just the reward you get for advancing. So I have been deployed now 650 days, which is kind of long. To be deployed in the army. Every day it looks like the end is right around the corner and life will hopefully return. But then suddenly you turn on your news and you see what's going on in Syria. So I just was going to say a few words about Syria and what I can see going on. You can see what's going on yourself too. And first of all, I want to lay before us the blessing and the cursing, life and death. Doesn't it say in Isaiah 19 that God wants to establish a highway from Syria all the way down through Israel to Egypt? Isaiah chapter 19. This is God's plan of life, which is good for them. It's good for business. It's good for us. It's good for everybody. We worship the God of Israel together. He says, Egypt, my people. Assyria, my handiwork. Israel, my inheritance. They three will be one. It says the Assyrian will come into Egypt, and the Egyptian will go into Assyria. They're going to travel through here, through the Sea of Galilee, stop here and get a shawarma, get a falafel, and have a fun time. Stop right here. We'll have some nice Arabic dancing in here. This is great. Yeah, great. Worship, prayer. This is good. This is good for everybody. What is not good is, you can see God says, I also lay before you a curse. Isaiah 17, Damascus, a ruinous heap, obliterated. That's judgment. Okay, we're looking at, and Hey, so right now we just go back a tiny bit to 2001. Is it 2000? No, let's go back even further. Let's go back just quickly so we know what we're talking about here. In a little context, there was a guy called Osama bin Laden. Remember Osama bin Laden? This guy's from Afghanistan, right? He has this thing called Al-Qaeda. They went and just bombed, right, 2 twin towers, right, in America and in New York City. Eventually, Bush, right, was it Bush, took out Osama bin Laden, eliminated Osama bin Laden. There arose a successor called Zawahiri. Kind of weak, not so strong. And so a dude called Zarqawi said, you're too weak, you're not strong. I'm going to go and continue this under a different name. I'm not going to call it Al-Qaeda. I'm going to call it ISI, the Islamic State of Iraq. I'm going to move to Iraq. Just so we get our picture, I mean, you probably know all this, but it's just good to remember what is what's going on. Islamic State of Iraq. And I'm going to take it over because you guys aren't extreme enough. You got one leader eliminated. You should keep on bombing some twin towers and stuff. So then he goes and starts a Islamic State of Iraq and starts doing a lot of violence and a lot of mean things to other Muslims and other Arabs. They're not nice to each other. They're not all in one happy life. They're very mean to each other. Okay, just to remember. Then you have a guy called, his name is Al-Shara. Comes and works there with al-Baghdadi, this dude, and he goes and he says, we're going to call it not Islamic State of Iraq, we're going to call it Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS. And he says, okay, I will go set that up for you. So this is a guy who set up now ISIS. This is the Syria part. The Syria part. That's the leader in Syria. Total ISIS guy, okay? Now he says, I'm not part of Al-Qaeda anymore because we're done with, Osama's gone and we're done with that. And great, thank you Taliban, by the way. Huge thank you to the Taliban for giving us all the help to get going. But we're now ISIS, we're a different group. So that's what ISIS is, Syria. And you remember Obama always used to say ISIL, Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. That's right here. So this guy Al-Shara, he says, I want you to call me a new name. I don't want you to call me just Al-Shara. You know, people don't really say Al-Shara, do they? They call him, what is his name? The president over there in Syria? Jolani. Al-Jolani. What does that mean? Anyone can take a wild guess? Golani. He says, call me the Golan guy. That's the Golan. It happens to be our promised land where my family lives. He says, call me Al-Jolani, which means Golani, which means I should run the Golan. I should take over the Golan. And he said that in no uncertain terms. One day I'm going to rule over the Golan and over Israel. He said I'm going to do my conquesting by the sword like my boss Muhammad told me to do. So that is ISIS. He's an ISIS guy. He says, okay, I'm not part of Al-Qaeda anymore with Osama. I'm now just the ISIS guy. Okay, but now he gets in power. He kills all the Assad people when they were fighting for 100 people dying a day. And there was all this, there's a Syrian civil war. And so this Jolani guy, or Al-Shara, comes in huge waves of death. And this guy was a Iranian proxy. Okay, the Assad regime was an Iranian proxy. Okay, and so just to finish, what it is this guy took over and put a suit on. He put a suit on. Now, does that mean he put a suit on? Is he really now a really respectful statesman and a leader, and he's no longer anything that he was all his life? Well, guess what? We can see by what he did. 1,700 Alawites, 1,700 Alawite people who live in Syria, massacred very brutally. No, not true. This is just before. This is when he started out his career in there. After he killed the Assad people, then he goes and massacres 1,700 Alawites, just killing them all. There's videos of him, Jolani, and all his workers killing all these people. Okay, so he doesn't seem like a good statesman. We thought, well, maybe it was just a hiccup. Maybe there was a little hiccup in the start there. Okay, so then what happens? He's now going out, his guys are now going after the Druze, our friends, our allies. They said, in no uncertain terms, they pulled out swords and guns and said, we're going to massacre the Druze. And why? Again, for the Western mind, did the Druze do something to them? Because this is the Western mind. You got to get through that Western mind. Did the Druze hurt Jolani somehow? No. They just aren't exactly like a jihadist. And so anyone that's not just like a jihadist gets jihadized. So Israel said, you have Shikli, our minister, says, we have to defend the Druze. They are our allies. We have a lot of Druze in Israel. There's Druze in Lebanon. There's Druze in Syria. We got to defend them. We're not going to let them be massacred like the Alawites were massacred, 1,700 of them. We're not going to let that happen. And they started already anyway. There's videos, I'm not going to show this, of them, of Jolani al-Shara, of this guy going in and massacring people, bodies after bodies. James sent me a video, and there's other videos of them massacring in hospitals, just killing everybody. So this is what the enemy's busy doing. And I have to look back to and say, wait a minute, is what should happen? Because I think people think, well, maybe Israel just wants to fight everybody. Maybe Israel just wants to fight everybody in the world for no reason because they were bored or something. That is not true. But it is wrong to let these people get massacred. It would be wrong on our part. It would be completely wrong. And the Druze ourselves in this country would probably arise up and start just getting fed up with us if we don't. So that is all to say that some Yahalom are in Syria. Some of our guys are there right now, and 210 battalion or 210 Ugda, I think, 210 battalion, they are in there too right now. And there's videos of them and the Druze people cheering on IDF, saying, thank you for protecting us. You stopped the massacre before it got even worse. And yes, it looks bad. Some of the bombing, even of Jolani's palace, presidential palace, got bombed. So I just want to take us back to what is the promise. And I'm going to read it. The promise is they could choose life or death, blessing or cursing. And we don't want any more battles. We're really, a lot of us are really tired. But it says in Isaiah chapter 19, talks about this great turnaround, even for Syria. It's sometimes one thing happens, and you're like, that was crazy with Iran. Another thing happens with Yemen, that was crazy. You know how the enemy works is it's all at once. Throws everything he can at you. So that's the end, I'm just going to read this and we're going to end. Isaiah chapter 19, it talks about this very thing. And it'll be and there shall be an altar. Let's just go to so this is even for Egypt too. Let's just read to the end. There in that day, verse 23, Isaiah 19, verse 23, in that day shall there be a highway out of Egypt into Assyria, and the Assyrian will come into Egypt, and the Egyptian into Assyria. The Egyptians will serve with the Assyrians. Serve the Lord, I guess. And that day will Israel be third with Egypt and with Assyria, even a blessing in the midst of the land, whom the Lord of hosts will bless, saying, blessed be Egypt, my people, Assyria, the work of my hands, and Israel, my inheritance. There's more to study on that, and it's really good. But I believe that this is the moment Trump offered a choice, the same kind of choice to Jolani. Do you want to become a person of peace or not? Looks like not. So we'll just have to see how this all works. But Lord, please work it out as you've promised. Help us to be strong, but do what you're doing and see what's going on behind the scenes and not just look at a suit coat and say, oh, there's my answer. And so we just thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your blessing. Thank you for this altar of prayer. We just pray that it would continue in Syria and the altar of prayer into Egypt and all throughout this whole Jordan Valley, this great Rift Valley, and become a valley of peace. In Yeshua's name, amen.